Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or wherever you are or whatever time you're listening. This is episode 4 and part 2 to Nature in My Own Words podcast, or shall I say in my way, the My Way podcast by Chess James, aka C Cash Green. I've always been into nature ever since I was in my kid days. People never really knew how deep the connection was to me. I remember when I was growing up, I used to watch UNC TV, and they used to have these specific shows that came on, and like the show with the guys on the fishing boat and shows like Jack Hanna was the early or probably earliest days for nature shows that I can remember. Added on with The Crocodile Hunter. To come later, a few more to mention: Saboomba Fool, Big Cat Diary, Going Wild with Jeff Corwin, just to name a few from the earliest days. I loved watching Steve Irwin do his thing with the crocodiles and reptiles and anything else. It was dangerous, but only he could do that how he did it. And of course, what they say is usual. I love nature, but I would have never gotten that close to or did what he or Jeff Corwin did at home or tried on my own, because like most people, I was never, nor am I, a professional or gifted to their status. I remember when I was growing up living in Jamesville with my family, and in the town we lived in, there's a lot of woods and trees around. So many that there used to be there was like a few pine trees that stood tall around the house that we was staying in. And while they were up before they were cut down, they were good to have because they provided plenty of shade around the house, like in the summertime. There was always insects, granddaddy longleg, this colorful spider, the spider with a bunch of colors, whether it was stripes or kind of like polka dots all over it, that would hang out in the bushes. And of course, the butterflies and the ladybugs, dragonflies, wasps, and bees. But I don't think it was the bee that would be more prone to sting you. But I do know that sometimes we had to fight off them wasps that lived in my basketball goal. I'm sure some of y'all, my cousins, if any of y'all hear this, or my sister, y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all remember that. But yeah, we used to have to fight them off from when we played basketball. And I don't think that's really needed for any more extra details behind that. Just know that we're still here. A long time ago, there were trees all around the house, pine trees, and there was a tree stump that was on the side. On the side of the house, there was one, I think one or two over there. Someone told us somewhere, sometime, or we learned that we could burn stuff with a magnifying glass. So me, my sister, and the cousins would burn beetles and bugs for fun, for an experiment. I know that sounds mean, but it was just something we wanted to try, for an experiment. But as far as I know, matter of fact, the thing with the magnifying glass just made me think about something. And I'll probably go out and get me one for camping vibes, if you understand me. Daytime from the sun rays, but my dad has a light that he uses in his garage that puts out some heat. According to how close you are to the light, of course, the closer the hotter, it can put out some pretty decent heat, and good heat can help start a fire at night, Another thing we used to do was, when we got a chance to be outside, there were buzzards that would be flying around. And everybody knows they eat dead animals. So we would lay down on the ground and wait and watch the buzzards circling until they got closer and closer. And then we would jump up and scare them off. This is very brief and random, but we had adopted a stray cat, and her name was Midnight. And it was and is Midnight. R.I.P. to Midnight. Her grave is still in the back of those houses. Family members who know. Shout out to Midnight, or any other pets we had around. There was a field across the street. There would be deer in that field every now and again, eating whatever they ate. I always assumed it was peanuts. That actually one time I believed that was a peanut field, but was also a corn field at one point in time, if I'm not mistaken. But I remember one time, I don't know what it was, if it was a holiday, if it was in the summertime, but I was at my grandparents' house. I know it was some cousins there that was with me, and my grandma, and my mom. I don't remember if she was there or not, but I remember a deer came across the street to the front carport door, and we fed it some peanuts. Those who remember will. Any family that hear this podcast will remember that, if you experienced that. That was an interesting experience. There was an area at the back near Midnight's grave that was kind of dipped down like a puddle almost. And I remember seeing tadpoles swim around in it. And I used to hold small frogs for a second and look at them a few seconds and then let them go. And I would do the same thing with roly-polies or caterpillars. Sometimes I used to say I was a little fearless guy. And when I was a child, I was a daredevil, jumping up and down that little staircase. But at preschool, that's where I seen and picked up roly-polies. Even though then I didn't know that that's what they were called. I'm sure that there may still be some spots where there are driveways with shark teeth in them. I remember a time when there were shark teeth found at the end of driveways. Can anybody remember anything like that, or is there anybody who have known of anything like that? The end of driveways on the road, on the side of the road, finding shark teeth laying on the ground. That was fun. And the stones and rocks have always been interesting too. I like rocks and stones. And as of this moment, I'm debating whether or not I would do a part 3 to nature for the My Way podcast. Whether I do it or not, if you listen to this, let me know if you would have wanted me to do a part 3. I hope you enjoyed my Nature in My Own Words Part 2 podcast. If this is your first time hearing this and you like it, you should check out the rest of my stuff on my channel and subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you know when I posted new content. This is Chess James, aka C Cash Green. You at the My Way podcast, and this is Nature in My Own Words podcast episode 4, Nature in My Own Words part 2. If you listen, thank you for listening, and I hope y'all have a good one until the next one. Later.